watching Republic.
Hello and welcome. You watching This Is Exclusive with me, Shavin. And tonight on This Is Exclusive, I come to you with two special stories. Starting with what has been the biggest talking point after lumpen elements in Bangladesh have been threatening to cut off chicken's neck. Now, there is a counter measure that has been taken by India. Tonight, we'll get you the details of how exactly is India now trying to secure the 22-kilometer chicken's neck. And not just that, the other big story that we're going to get you tonight is about the 16 Indians who are still stuck in Iran. All this and much more in this edition. But up first, let me take you through the headlines we're tracking at this hour. India's sensitive chicken's neck secured. Indian Railway Minister announced a special plan to connect Northeast to the country. In Udhampur, Indian security forces eliminate two Jaish terrorists in counter-terror operation. Skipping the headlines now, getting you the breaking news coming in. Prime Minister Modi is likely to speak in Rajya Sabha tomorrow. This comes after the ruckus that took place inside the parliament today. Allegations that have been levelled against the opposition parties that attempts were made to get out the very seat in which the Prime Minister was supposed to sit. In fact, both the houses have now been adjourned. Sources now indicating Lok Sabha was scheduled today, but because of opposition disruption, Prime Minister did not address. Prime Minister was supposed to speak around 5 o'clock this evening, and it was supposed to be in Rajya Sabha, but that was essentially changed primarily because of what we are given to understand, attempts that were made to disrupt. Let me go across to my colleague and executive editor Niranjan, who's joining us from the newsroom. Niranjan, a quick recap of what really happened. Why is it that the Prime Minister did not address earlier today?
Shavan, today there was complete chaos when we were in the newsroom waiting for the Prime Minister to speak a little after 5 p.m. In fact, we even got a message from Harsha, our correspondent inside the parliament, who texted us saying, watch out, stay alert, the Prime Minister is entering the parliament. And then seconds later, the frame in Sansad TV showed the Speaker's chair and complete pandemonium. In about 30 seconds, it was all over. It appeared to be completely orchestrated. Visuals show that some from the opposition benches, mostly women MPs, went and garrowed the Prime Minister even before he sat on his chair. So it appeared to be completely coordinated, an attempt to stall the Prime Minister's speech for what the government has opposed in Parliament over the last 2 days, namely Rahul Gandhi citing a book on General Naravane. They have taken offense to that and escalating finally in them blocking the Prime Minister's speech, which is a completely unprecedented. We have now been told that the Prime Minister will be speaking tomorrow. The timing we hear is being worked out. So we have a confirmation that he will be speaking tomorrow.
Just a quick question before I let you go. In terms of the allegations that have been levelled by the opposition parties, they say that the Prime Minister was afraid because of what Rahul Gandhi had raised, quoting the memoir of the former Chief of Army Staff, General Manoj Naravane.
Well, Shavan, after each of the attacks that have taken place in India and our army has hit back, talk about surgical strike, Balakot, Operation Sindoor, what has the government said on record? That our forces were given a free hand to respond, right? When a government has given them a free hand, and they say it on record, that forces will respond at a time and place of their choosing, and that they were given a free hand. So what is the difference between the government on record and in news conferences saying that the forces were given a free hand and saying, Jo uchit samjhe wo karo, or whatever you deem appropriate? What does that mean? That means you are given a free hand. You can respond in the manner appropriate that you deem fit. That is the exact same translation. So I don't actually understand. When it happened, we actually felt that there could be something more, that General Naravane had maybe said more about what happened, about the handling. But you go through the chronology, as they say, Shravan. There is a call made from him, and then he said, he claims, as per this book, by the way, which we have not read, but it's only in this ragtag called The Caravan.
Right.
And in that, it also mentions that the Prime Minister, the Rajnath Singh, called back and said, the Prime Minister said, Jo uchit samjho wo karo, which translates to do whatever you deem is appropriate. What do you expect from the political leadership when the government has in the past said, we have given a free hand? It's exactly what they mean.
Thank you very much, Niranjan, for getting us the latest. Ladies and gentlemen, coming back to the special story that we're getting to you tonight on This Is Exclusive. This is about the Chicken's Neck Corridor, which has undoubtedly been the biggest talking point since the indirect threats coming in from lumpen elements in Bangladesh. The corridor basically sits at a crossroad. Bangladesh to the south, Nepal to the west, and China's Chumbi Valley to the north. Now, any disruption to the Chicken's Neck would effectively mean that the northeastern states will be cut off from mainland. Now, realizing this very threat, India has been taking several countermeasures to protect Chicken's Neck. The latest comes from Union Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnav, who says that there is a special planning for the strategic corridor connecting the northeast with the rest of the country. In fact, for the first time, we are essentially going to look at an underground railway network that basically secures the entire 22-kilometer Chicken's Neck. And not just that, there are measures that have also been taken by the Indian Army. Over the next couple of minutes, I'm going to take you through every detail of that big measure, the big ticket announcement that has been made by the government and what it means in these changing geopolitical times. Take a look at this report.
We have all along discussed the chicken neck.
Yes.
But have we ever discussed who are the people in the chicken neck? Everybody say chicken neck, 22 kilometer, 22 kilometer. But everybody who is there in the chicken neck and in the 10 kilometer vicinities of chicken neck in the Indian side, everybody have come from Bangladesh. So tomorrow, if government of Bangladesh says that let me take over the chicken neck, now the local people will say please come.
Amid shifting regional dynamics, following the ongoing anti-India rhetoric in Bangladesh and concerns over China's growing presence near the vulnerable Siliguri Corridor, the Indian government has planned to fortify the strategic corridor.
स्ट्रैटेजिक एरिया है, जो स्ट्रैटेजिक सेक्शन है करीब 40 किलोमीटर का, नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न स्टेट्स को पूरे देश के साथ जोड़ने वाला जो हिस्सा है, उस हिस्से के लिए भी विशेष प्लानिंग की गई है. 4 लाइंस और अंडरग्राउंड लाइन की भी प्लानिंग की गई है. अंडरग्राउंड लाइंस की भी प्लानिंग की गई है. तो एक तरीके से नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न स्टेट्स के लिए कनेक्टिविटी का टोटली नया एक आयाम बनेगा, नया डायमेंशन बनेगा आने वाले समय में, और काम भी बहुत तेजी से चल रहा है नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न स्टेट्स में.
For decades, the Chicken's Neck has been used as an intimidation tactic by anti-national forces, both within and beyond our borders. The proposed underground rail link marks a major strategic breakthrough. The rail link will create a secure and foolproof transportation corridor between the northeast and the rest of the country. The 40-kilometer Chicken's Neck stretch will be fortified by an underground rail link, which will run from Tin Mill Hut to Ragapani in Bengal and will be laid at a depth of 20 to 24 meters. These 2 stations were selected for their geographical importance. Tin Mill Hut is located in Rangapani block in Bengal's Darjeeling district, which is about 10 kilometers from Siliguri. Tin Mill Hut lies close to the Bangladesh border. In fact, Bangladesh's Panchargarh district is just 68 kilometers away. Now, the question arises, why railways? The railway is considered as the fastest way to move cargo. One freight train can haul cargo equal to 300 trucks. Most of the infrastructure in the Chicken's Neck corridor is on the surface and is exposed to missile strikes or even natural disasters. Bangladesh and China backed push to manufacture drones at home adds new threats to India's security. Moreover, Bangladesh's recent move to redevelop the Lal Monirhat Air Base in Rangapur, close to the Siliguri Corridor, has generated unease in New Delhi's defense corridors. The airbase, located barely a few kilometers from the Indian border to approximately 135 kilometers from the vital Siliguri border, has turned into a geopolitical flashpoint. What is concerning is the active involvement of China in the planning process, along with the reported engagement of a Pakistani defense contractor. Amid twin threats from a hostile China and an aggressive Bangladesh, it is a concerted effort to turn the Chicken's Neck, long viewed as a strategic vulnerability, into a hardened spine.
Why does this very announcement made by Union Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw become very significant? That's because of the threats that have come in from Bangladesh. Two threats that I specifically want to speak about. One is the Lal Monirhat Air Base, and the second is the announcement that has been made that Bangladesh, with the help of the Chinese, will come up with a manufacturing plant at Borga Air Base, which is going to provide unmanned aerial vehicles, which means just few kilometers from the Siliguri corridor is where this UAV manufacturing plant is going to come. So how exactly are we really responding? Now this, what you see is the 22-kilometer slender Chicken's corridor, which is again something that connects the mainland and the northeastern states. Now, existing army base that you already have is in Gangtok, Kalimpong, Sukna and Biraguri. These are already the army existing bases. Now, let me take you through what are the other army bases that are basically coming up. Or in fact, it has already started. These are garrisons that are coming up in Chopra, in Kishanganj and in Bamuni. These are the places where you have these army garrisons that have come in, securing the Chicken's Neck. The latest announcement, which I'm going to now show you, the latest announcement that has been made by the Railway Ministry is what many would say a Cold War tactic that has been brought in. That is an underground railway network that is going to come in, which means that if at all there is any eventuality, if there is a conflict, then that is going to be used. Can we move to the next map, please? In the next graphic, what I'm going to show you is how exactly are we doing this. There is an attempt that is being made right now of this entire area to be now being covered from Tin Mill Hut to Rangapani, which means if you can take a look at this map itself, it shows how exactly are you securing the entire area and how you are basically moving in your products. If at all there is a need for movement of cargo, so that freight corridor can basically take almost amount of about 300 truck worth goods can be taken from here. Now, Tin Mill Hut is about 68 kilometers from Panchargarh, and let's move to the other one. And from Siliguri, it's about 10 kilometers, as you can see on top. And here, as far as Rangapani is concerned, that's also closer to Bangladesh. So these areas are essentially now fortified, keeping in mind that you have a rail network coming in. Can we move to the other graphic here? This is yet another system. Let's move on faster. Yeah, the threat which is basically close. Chicken's Neck is what we are putting out. The Bogra Air Base is roughly about 150 kilometers. And Chinese-backed UAV manufacturing plant is being built less than 150 kilometers from the Siliguri corridor. And UAVs will be flown from Bogra Air Base in Rangpur division, which means not very far away. You have a full-fledged air base and you have UAVs that can be flown. So let me also bring in General Narasimhan right now on this broadcast. General Narasimhan, a significant announcement now being made by the Union Railway Minister that a freight corridor is essentially going to come in, underground railway networks being brought in. Of course, you already have 3 army garrisons present in that area. Is that really enough? Do you think, as far as the threats coming in from Lumpen elements across the border, is it good enough to secure the Chicken's Neck corridor?
Thank you very much for getting me on your show. I would like to place 3 points on this particular issue. Firstly, this chicken neck issue is not a new one. It has been there for a very long time. And as you mentioned, the garrisons which are located there are actually looking into the security of this corridor. That is point number 1. Point number 2 is Lal Munir Ghat you mentioned. Lal Munir Ghat is far closer to the Indian border than Bogra, where this drone manufacturing facility is supposed to come. So Lal Munir Ghat, in case it's becoming an airport, it is fine. If it is becoming an air base, what would happen during operations or when the flag goes up and the war starts, that will get neutralized very quickly because that will be within our artillery range. So that is something that we need to keep in mind. On the third point regarding this drone manufacturing facility with CETC of China, that is a government, basically, it's a state-owned enterprise. And so that is going to come in very quickly. Chinese are known for their fastness, and so they're going to come in extremely quickly. And they will start manufacturing the drones in Bangladesh. But how many drones can Bangladesh absorb? That is something that should be calculated. I don't think they'll be able to absorb more. So what would happen from this factory is they will use their resources and then start exporting from that particular manufacturing facility that is going to come up. So if you look at it from this angle, even that 130 kilometers is there, but still that can also be neutralized. So during the time of war, this is something that is not going to be worrying so much because these can be handled. The point regarding the underground railway line is very, very important because in this 22-kilometer corridor, you have the railway line, you have the main highway, you also have the oil pipeline. All of them are running through this corridor. So these need to be protected very well. And I think this underground railway line is an extremely important initiative by the government. And I think that is the right way to go because this is a corridor that needs to be secured very, very clearly. Though militarily it is possible, I think the infrastructure also needs to be built up underground. That is a very good move by the government of the day.
I want to understand from you because we are talking about Lal Munir Ghat Air Base, which is now being revived. Many said that why are we really putting so much of focus on this? Because, they do have the right to do so. But we are talking about, a World War era air base, which is now being, perhaps once again re-looked into it. You've had the Bangladeshi army chief coming into the picture. There has been fast-paced developments that are actually taking place. So how concerned should we really be as far as the developments that are taking place not very far away from the Siliguri Corridor?
It's an extremely important question, and I compliment you on that. The thing that we need to be looking at is, it is an air base that is the airport that is going to be developed, which was an old Second World War kind of an airfield. That will come up. So that can position certain amount of air force assets of Bangladesh. I am not confident that the Chinese will place any of their assets there at that point because then it brings a different I would say, a play of the 3 countries between India, Bangladesh and China. And Bangladesh is at the moment going through the elections very soon. And so we'll see how that develops. So the Lal Munir Ghat is actually an important airfield for the Bangladesh Armed Forces, Bangladesh Air Force. So they will develop it, there's no problem. But why I said that it is manageable is basically because it is very, very close to the international border. And therefore it is, in case of anything happening, a war or something happening, that can be neutralized. And so what happens even in the otherwise, when war goes up, the peacetime locations are readjusted so that they are not targeted by the opposition forces. So I'm sure even Lal Munir Ghat will come under a lot of flack in case war becomes there. So to that extent, that is important because the resources will be there. But during war, I think it can be handled.
Well, thank you very much, General Narasimhan for joining us on this broadcast. He's a former member of the NSAB on this entire issue. Thank you very much for joining us. In fact, we're dropping the other big story that we're getting to you tonight in a lot of time. That's all that we could pack in this edition. Coming up, trending.
Co-powered by Century Ply Club Prime. Raho befikar.
Aar pyar